alum content emails, and you're going to want to look for the last time we sent out an alum email, duplicate that message, strip it down, or take the pieces that you need and then send it to a new list. Christopher, I actually went through and like created the base email for all of the upcoming industry lists so that like you could just populate them with the event information as it comes in. And then Beth is mostly going to be using it for creating digests or potentially doing internship newsletters over the summer.
And some of it looks like these lists, these audiences are getting imported from outside of career ed.
So this is everybody on campus uses the same MailChimp. We just have our own audience list. So the first thing you do when you go to all campaigns is go to career education. Let's find it. Communication. And basically we have our own list and we only use this list. And then when you do that, you'll see only the emails that we have sent, where before you were seeing all of the campus emails, including like what development is sending out to donors on very specific targeted lists. So on here, you can kind of like sort by, completed messages, draft messages. And this is where you'll see like, I just started kind of plugging in. So when Arts, Communication, and Media Week comes up, on the maternity leave document, I just kind of link to the MailChimp messages for each of these campaigns. So this is really for Christopher so that he can go in and edit this email that's like the bones of it are there, but I don't have any details for it yet, if that makes any sense. So I'll just go back to all campaigns and say your destiny and you're wanting to recreate a Hive internship project campaign that ran last year. The first thing you would do is search here for something that you think would help you find that, which in this case, let's just say it's Hive internships. And you would use like information that like when it was sent, who it was sent to click on that. So let's say we're going to launch it again to students for the summer. You click on the campaign and you then say replicate. And it will just recreate the campaign for you. Just like literally duplicate all the settings from before. And then you'll just want to rename it. So like what I really should have done last year is put the year in here. So let's say 2023. And you'll see the first thing is like the segment, the list of recipients who it's going to. And that I'll get into a little bit more later because Christy also has some information about that. This you can change the name and the email address of who it's coming from so that it can say basically like any name and connect it to an email address that doesn't necessarily like match up with what that name is. So like if you wanted to say this is coming from Destiny rather than Hips, you can do that. And then of course you can change the subject line, can and should. And the preview text is like if you're in your inbox, it will be the like little line of information that shows up right next to the subject line. And then there's like the whole email. So that's where you go into edit design. And where hopefully you won't need to do that much to get like past emails into a place where it's like a current email. So like Destiny, you often ask me like, can I have the the previous email text so that I can edit it. You could like copy and paste this into a Google Doc. You can kind of like strip it down. You can change the like years, whatever you want. And then basically, once you're done, sorry, somebody's. I'm trying to think what else I need to show you about this. Like there's of course like the just generic, like you're in editing mode for this document. Like you're just editing the text like you would on the website or like on an email. But there are some other like things that you can do here. Like you can add buttons. Like I've added a button down here. I don't think you're going to like need or want to play around with these elements too much, but like feel free, you know, like there are all these different like images that you can add in. When you add an image, you can just kind of like drag it right on top and it will import it there. So it's pretty flexible in that way.
So it also gives suggestions like the other one, like they will suggest you to edit the image, etc.
Yes, that's right. So like here it said, wow, that image was really big and you should trim it down or make it a smaller size. And whenever they tell me to do that, I just do it. Like I'll just change the size to be smaller.
So when you do this, does that only change the image embedded in the email or image that you uploaded? So the next time you try to use the image in the system, would it be this size or the original size?
It would be the size I change it to now.
Okay, got it.
So I usually just change it to 600 pixels because that's like the standard size that, not that you guys need to know this, but it will tell you to make it something under 1,200 pixels. And I usually just change it to 600. And then you can like make it smaller if you want to, or make it bigger. So those are images. The other thing I use a lot are image plus text boxes. So again, you can like drag these different elements over into the email itself. And then it will appear over here, but you'll be editing over here to the right of it. And you can enter in the text information here. And upload images just like you did before. But if you want those images to appear on the side of the text, you can change the style the settings to have the image position be to the left or to the right and smaller and, you know, any kind of like different dimension you might want it to be. You can even have it be 2 images if you wanted to just kind of play around with it and have multiple text boxes within the same element, or you can just duplicate the element a few times. So like really either way works fine. But I mean, I really do think that like, if any of you have played with Constant Contact or MailChimp before, like the actual editing of the email is going to feel like pretty intuitive. To me, I think the complicated thing about this is the lists and the way that, you know, we manipulate them sometimes to target the audiences. Does anybody have questions about like just editing the email itself though?
We can't, once we make a copy, we can delete it, right? So
you can totally delete it.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, you can click on anything here and just delete as you go. You can also, you know, drag the elements up and down, things like that. And then the email itself, you can delete too. Okay, so let's pretend we're totally done with this email. So for the most part, we have in our list, our like career education communication list includes all students and all alums. And we can import other contacts as we want to. So cases where we do that are like Sarah and Ingrid will tell me, I'd like to invite these like 100 employers. Can you import this list? And I'll do that. But for the most part, I'm sending emails, and I think all of you on this call will be sending emails to people who are already on the list. Is that true? Destiny, I think the only exception might be parent emails for HIPs, if you're still doing that.
Yeah, we are. Is that, well, I mean, I would need to customize this list a lot because it's only going to first years who participated in Embark
Right.
and sophomores. So for students, and then for
Yeah.
partners, we would potentially have employer emails to import.
Yeah.
And alums.
So I'll show you how to do students and alums first, because that's going to be like the most applicable to everyone. So let's just pretend this is the message that you want to tailor to go to like a subset of students. You would click on edit recipients here. And then you can just create a group or a new segment within the career education communication. And what you can do is just add on different filters. So you would find subscribed contacts that match. And usually what you're going to say is all of the following conditions and say add. And if you just want to filter by class year, you can select class. So these are all the different fields that import into MailChimp from Banner and or from Handshake, theoretically. And that's where Christy's going to jump in now and say that we are having some issues with LTS right now, where we're trying to get them to fix the API that comes in from Handshake, because it's not bringing in all of the industry filters as well as it should be.
Yep.
So we have some troubleshooting emails out with them, and that's mostly going to be a problem for Christopher. But it's something that we are working on. So we'll keep you updated on that.
Yeah, we're working on it, and I already talked with Tess, and she will let you know that, before it's fixed, you can always email me and I will export the list you will need and then to be uploaded.
Yeah, if for some reason it's not resolved, which they should be able to resolve it, but we lost our contact in LTS who used to fix these things when it was broken. And then Christy can import the list in Handshake and import it. But we're hoping that she doesn't need to do that because it's silly. So if you just wanted to filter by class year, you could select class, and you could select, say the class is, let's say, greater than the class of. So what is the example that you were saying, Destiny?
So it's class of 2025, and that's it.
You only want to send to the class of
No,
2025?
2020. Well, this is going to be the.
You could say the class is,
Yeah.
and you can just say the class is any, and you could say the class is.
So the way that we did it last time, which you might not remember, but Ariane had an Excel spreadsheet of all of the Embark participants. And I sent that to you and you added them in.
Well, you could just paste emails here.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what you did.
Or I'll show you another thing that you can do soon. Okay. But if you wanted to, if you weren't needing to like import a list for any reason, you were just needing to filter the existing list that was in here, you might just say you're sending this to a group of alums, you would just say the class is greater than or is less than like a certain amount. Say you wanted to send it to a subset of students that had all registered for the health professions list. What you would do in that case is select the class years that you want to send it to, and then select the list that they're on, and you would just say is not blank. And that's because MailChimp puts a little like X next to their name on if they've signed up for that list. So if that makes any sense. Basically, you're like selecting the class year so that you're not sending it to alums unless you want to be sending it to alums. And then you're telling them that you want to send it to like this specific industry list. And in the templates that I set up for like the industry weeks coming up, I already like did this segmentation. So like you shouldn't need to think about it unless it's still broken, in which case Christy will need to supply you with the list. So that is that. And then you'll say update recipient count. And you'll just like double check to make sure the number is not like outrageous. So like in this case, you might see that number and be like, oh, that's not what I meant to do. Like I meant to say, I only want to send this to the class of 2025 who signed up for this list. And then you update the recipient list and you're like, oh, that's more like it. I would expect it to be.
But a full alum list in MailChimp, I assume, even if you take out all the alums who have unsubscribed over a period of time, it's going to be thousands, right?
It's like, huge. Like that's why I get Ajita every time I send to
I know. Because when we did map, I think
people, right.
I think when you just sent map, it went to like 22,000 or something.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any group that we need to, so let's say we email all alums, do we need to contact WCAA beforehand before we?
I will usually do.
Yeah, so similar to that, is there a group that we need to contact someone before we email everyone?
Only alums, and they told me that we don't even need to contact them. We just need to mark on, they have a calendar of alumni broadcast emails that they send out, and they have asked us to just mark on the calendar if we're going to email alums. And so we try not to overlap with any of the other communication dates that they've been sending out. And I just emailed them today actually and said, can you make sure that Destiny has access to this calendar so that she can mark down if she's sending an email to alums. So if you wanted to import contacts, the way that you would do that is by going to audience here on the side. And then you click on view contacts. And then you wait. And then you click on add contacts and import contacts. So you're usually not adding like one individual subscriber at a time, like we used to do at the Gallery Destiny. You're like importing a full list. And you can do that in like a couple different ways. Let's see if I have like the list Sarah sent me yesterday. I don't. You can upload a file, like if you have a whole CSV document, or you can just copy and paste. I usually copy and paste, honestly, because it's just as easy. And all you really need is especially if you're like importing a list of students, say that all participated in Embark, you would go to copy and paste. And then here, let's say the list was Destiny, just 3 people participated in Embark this year. Then you go to continue to organize. And you make sure you select update any existing contacts here. And then you add a tag. And so that tag might be Embark 2023 fake in this case. And then you say continue to match. And it would import just those 3 contacts. It wouldn't really import them. It would just update their contact information so that they have this tag associated with them now. So then you would say finalize import and complete import. And then you would go back to campaigns. And this is the campaign we were working on. And in the recipient list, what you would do is you're choosing an audience. You would just choose the tag that you want to email it to. So in this case, we're doing the Embark 2023 fake tag. And you're only emailing those people that are tagged. And that would have just been the list that you imported with the 3 recipients that are Destiny, Christy, and me.
Yep. Tess, quick question. When you're looking for that tag, is that searchable or you have to find it by scrolling?
It looks like
Can you
it's
start
searchable.
to type Embark for it to show up or no?
It won't like narrow it down, if that makes sense. But I did just go through and cleaned out a lot of these because it was getting kind of unwieldy, and it will always be the last tag that's listed.
The newest one. Okay, got it.
Newest one, yeah. So, I mean, segments and tags are kind of similar. I tend to use tags like a little bit more often if I'm importing things, but that's how that works. What else can I show you? What other questions do you have? It's probably like hard to know until you're like actually doing it.
If you just run through campaigns
Mm-hmm.
and like look through the past ones, can you do that? And
Yeah,
you see what
you
I'm saying?
totally
Like
can.
I were trying to find like the alumni newsletter. I'd probably just run through.
So my biggest tip is never forget what audience you're in, because that's the thing that will screw you up the most often if you're not in the career education
You
communication.
won't see ours.
We
But
do
I'll-
send
but
out,
you
we send
have
out a
one
lot of
to
emails,
see.
but like you can go back through time and just be like, I know we sent an email out in February 2022, and you know, they're all sorted kind of by date, and you can always find the emails that we sent. Because sometimes, you know, I might not have labeled it in the way that you would have labeled it. Like I might have said Hive internship projects where you would have said HIPS, for instance. Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, totally. Okay. Sorry, Caitlin just needed an edit on a grad school document. Okay. Okay, what else?
And then how do you, I assume when you go through, it will be clear, how do you like schedule it to send?
Oh, I'm sorry.
How do
Yeah,
you
so
test?
that should be
Like how
obvious
you
too.
test it?
I would definitely recommend testing it to like at least one other person, even if you're like totally confident that you have not made any mistakes, especially if you're sending it to 20,000 alums.
So not confident, definitely.
I'm never confident. And okay, so let's pretend we're sending this one, and we actually can send this one because we were only sending it to 3 recipients and they're all on this call, right?
Yep.
So I almost never click on this like send button up at the top because it's just like too scary for me. I always click on schedule, even if I'm just scheduling out 15 minutes from like what, you know, what I want to send it. So right now it's 3:29. Let's send it at 3:45 p.m. And but let's first test it. Sorry. So underneath this little email thing, it will say send a test email, and I can send it to you know, I'll send it to Destiny in this case. And you can include like a little message. So whenever you see a test email from me that's like, hey, let me know if there are any problems with this. That's like where I included that message. So I'm just going to send this test here. and it will just show up in their inbox, and, you know, like, usually I just ask them to tell me if there's a problem with it, and they do. And then once they do, I click on schedule and I schedule out the email. And then, so if I have scheduled an email and then I decide, oh no, I need to like undo that ASAP, you can go back to all campaigns and you'll see the scheduled little thing here, and you can go pause, you can click on pause and edit and pause it. And you can either make the change right then and there, or you can click on and then click on resume campaign or say finish later. And in that case, it would leave it in like paused status rather than rescheduling it.
Tess, I might have missed this. You have definitely for the sandbox, send, you can say who is from and the send email. Is there a way to edit the response email? So if they hit reply, can they go to a different email than the send email or not?
I don't think so. I think you can only, I think that whatever you put is the from email is, that's who's going to get the reply.
Okay, got it.
So when I'm replying to a test, I always I hit reply and then I eliminate the actual reply to and put test Mattern in.
That makes sense, right?
And when you upload to the recipients, the only thing you need is a CSV file, and the only field you need is an email, correct?
Yes, in general, although like sometimes if I'm uploading an employer list, I'll want to upload their name too. And cases where you might want to do that is, so in the design, you can use merge tags if you'd like, so that you can make it look like it says dear XYZ.
Okay.
If you ever wanted to do that, I don't think anybody here is necessarily going to want to do that. That's more of a Sarah and Ingrid thing for employers. I just don't do it for alums because I don't feel confident enough that all of that information has made its way into MailChimp, even though it should be there.
Yep.
I would hate for somebody to get an email that said dear first name. So I'd rather just say dear alums. But if you wanted to do that, you can see here where it says merge tags, you can enter in first name, and that will just mean that it will appear. If you know that you imported their first name, then first name will come up.
So you shouldn't attempt to, so for example, like Destiny had requested, if she emailing parents and she uploaded a list of parents, she should then upload their first name or whatever information she know about them, then they will create a profile. But if you're trying to work with student information, then you shouldn't try to upload first and last name, because would you overwrite what's already in the system?
That's a good question. I never do that, so I don't.
Okay.
So that I don't run that risk, because I just feel like the only reason I'm uploading students is so that I can add tags to their email account.
Got it. So basically, if any student or alums, the only thing you need is their emails and nothing else.
Right.
For people you know who will not have a profile in MailChimp, you might consider uploading more information. That's it. Okay.
Right.
Is there a parent list in there someplace already? I assume.
So for past years, Destiny, I've asked Leslie in the parents' office if I could use her list to send out the HIPS email, and she's told me she definitely has a parent list on here somewhere, and I just ask her what the name of her audience list is and who I should send the HIPS invite to. That's the only time I think I've ever sent it, not using the career education list, is when I've sent to the parent list, because the parents aren't on our list.
So, well, this you can probably find out, but the parents generally tag with the student email, so you can find them via the student email.
I don't know.
Okay.
I've just said to Leslie, what parent list should I haven't looked too closely at like what other fields her list includes. It might be like they have fields where it's like your student, this parent's student is XYZ, but I'm not sure.
So when you're searching by campaigns, this is out of nowhere. I'm just curious. Can
Yeah.
you search and say for for Christy Liu, what has all the campaigns been sent to her? Can you search?
Yeah,
for
you
that?
can. That's actually a really good question, because Christy, sometimes you know how we'll get emails from people who are like, I
Yes,
didn't.
that's what I was thinking.
That's
what I was thinking. I was
Yes,
like-
you did. I know that you did, because I can see it in MailChimp. So you
Okay.
can go under all contacts here.
Uh-huh.
And let's see, you can search for the contact. So let's search for Christy. What's wrong with me? Maybe I'm doing this
I
wrong.
think you need to click on contacts and search maybe
Maybe I just need to.
at Wellesley.
Oh, look, I'm in the wrong list.
Okay.
Okay, so here you are in the career education communications list.
Okay.
Profile.
So this is useful if a student says she's not getting certain emails, you can search her up and then doing different things.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you have two tags connected with you. One is the tag that we just put on here, and the other one I have so when I send the digest, we send it to all students plus anybody who's on this digest opt-in list, which is basically our staff and a few other people that have requested to be on it.
Mhm.
And so you can see like this is the information that's come in. You can see, sorry, it's not an X, it's a Y. If Christy has signed up for these lists in Handshake, it's imported over that like, yes, Christy wants to get the marketing, communication, and arts newsletter. And then you can see the activity, like she was sent this grad school week invite. She chose not to open it. That's on Christy. You know, like you can tell if somebody has opened. She opened
I
the
have
faculty
terrible
stuff.
open and click rates.
That's okay, Christy. I really don't. But look, you open the one that's like really for you, like the faculty staff newsletter. But you knew what the funded internship newsletter looked like. So anyway, it's just like a full history of what somebody has gotten.
Okay, good. So this is helpful for address some questions that comes from career education.
Yeah. And if you're in the campaign here, you can also just like really quickly look and see. Oh, this is going to kill me. It used to just like default to career education,
Oh, joy.
but it literally just stopped like this week. Maybe that's another thing I can ask them about.
You can't, oh, okay, since this is shared, you can't set your own defaults, correct?
I don't know. It just changed it recently. It's so annoying. Okay, so these are all drafts, which is why there are no there's no information about open and click rates on here, but like we sent out this STEM week email last week to 429 students and 82% of them opened, and this is how many people clicked it. So like sometimes if people are just like curious, okay, the grad school week invite got 75%, 79%, or 76% if I'm rounding up click rate. So you can kind of like see it. And then if you wanted to, you could dig deeper into the report, but like for the most part, you really just want to know, like, did people open this at all? Are people reading my messages? And like in general, I think it's really not that bad. Like we sent this email to 22,000 alums and 52% of them opened it. Like that's actually really good in the world of click rates, especially with like an audience that big.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. So does that help? Do people think they'll use this like over Handshake? I think the advisors should keep using Handshake as like much as, this is just like one level more complicated, like everything in Handshake is right there. There's no messy like API glitches that could happen, like sending over the list, but some things just like look really nice in MailChimp, and I like can get why, the formatting options are like obviously much better.
Is Handshake talking to whatever MailChimp is talking to for alum email updates? Around like, I unsubscribed, I changed my address and updated it in the directory. Like, is that list of alums in MailChimp basically getting filtered down into Handshake as well?
No,
Okay.
those information are not synced into Handshake as in any way that I know of. And also their email in there would be their school email. So you will have low outreach rates.
Okay, so Handshake is not a good choice for emailing alums.
For alums, no.
But Handshake has the most up-to-date banner contact for alums, right? Chrissy?
Not that I know of, because they have to log in, use their Wellesley email. If they actually logged in
Right.
and put in their personal email, yes, you can use their personal email. But if they're not actively in Handshake and edit that information, then no, because the school uses it, that information, they only use that email for security.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Was this helpful? Like anybody can feel free to play around with it. Hopefully, like by the time you do this, I'm sure you'll have you'll need the refresher. So I'll save the recording of this to my maternity leave document so that you have it when you need to actually do something. But it's not that bad. If you're working from an existing email, I think it's especially easy to just kind of tweak things, and I think the lists are the hardest part personally.
Very helpful, Tess. Thank you. I will play with it sometime, but I always play with systems.
I know you like getting into the tech.
I saw the code in there and I was like, wait, is that an embedded code, or how does it apply, and what code does it use?
You mean like when you're editing?
Yeah, because it did say it has an embedded code section, and I was like, anyway. I won't damage anything, I promise.
So like Destiny, when I sent out the alum email, a lot of times, I'm just going to show you one more thing. A lot of times this is the trick that I'll do if I'm sending out an email. Okay, let's see. Beth already knows this.
The
Right.
map one should be there that you just did, or we did a few weeks ago, map.
I wanted this one, the January 2023 career education alum list. So like if I wanted to do basically what you did this week with future content, I would just like replicate this message. So what Destiny did this week is we sent out an email at the beginning of the semester to all alums about all the programming that we had going on all semester. But I think Destiny, probably you were looking at the registration numbers for the upcoming webinar and thinking that's not high enough, or like alums could use a reminder. What I usually do is just like go into the message, and then you can just like delete any sections that you aren't going to use anymore. Literally just go through and delete them all. And then oftentimes I'll just like, so that I don't make a mistake, if I want to use the same formatting, but change the content up, I'll just go through and like put in X's like on all of the sections, so that I like have this as a placeholder, and I can go in and like edit the information without like accidentally screwing
Yep.
something up, you know what I mean? Or like
Or deleting that content and realizing you didn't want to delete the whole section, you just wanted to edit the text.
right, and like that way I don't accidentally leave in a URL that like would be a mistake. I'd rather just like strip it down, but have the formatting preserved so that I don't need to like reinvent the wheel and like, you know, change it all to be like Georgia size, like 14 or whatever. It just makes it so that I make fewer mistakes. And if I'm trying to like edit from a previous document that has like a lot of information in it that I could accidentally include in like a future message, which I've done too many times. And that's like the only reason I've learned to do this myself.
So when you do this, just quick question, does this save versions? So if you made mistakes editing, okay. If you save, then it's done, it's done. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I can't even like undo. Once you do something, it's done.
Oh, darn it.
That's okay though. All right, I won't keep anybody any longer unless you have questions, but you know, if you want to try things out, you know, before I'm gone, feel free. Enough, and now all of you know, so you can help one another too. If things come
Okay.
up. Beth is probably the biggest expert at this point because she's been doing the digest every week, and Jen really knows how to use it too. So
I think I could be helpful in creating it, but when it comes to the different lists and the audiences, like that's something I've never had to adjust because I always send out the same thing
it's
to
always
the
the students for Beth.
Yeah.
So
but I could help with this
think